Hello everyone, my name is Romeo Sumarabunawan, and today I will present my presentations about my research proposals about a comparative literature analysis of Joan of Arc and Mulan through the feminist theory. Let's begin. The portrayal of Joan of Arc in Joan of Arc movies in 2019 and Hua Mulan in Mulan adaptation live action Disney's in 2020 reveals differing cultural, historical, and ideological frameworks, despite both characters being emblematic female heroes confronting wartime challenges. A feminist comparative analysis highlights how these films engage with themes of gender, power, and identity while reflecting contemporary social political concerns. The representations of female heroes in cinema often reflects the cultural and historical context in which the films are produced. Joan of Arc 2019 by Bruno Dumont and Disney's Mulan live adaptations movies on 2020 presents two iconic wartime heroines, each navigating challenges of leaderships, gender norms, and cultural expectations, while Joan of Arc depicts a French saint's historical struggles during the Hundred Years' War. Mulan portrays a legendary Chinese warrior fighting to save her family and her country. This study aims to compare these films through the lens of a feminist theory, investigating how they address themes of gender, empowerment, and the identity. By examining the film's narratives, characterizations, this research will contribute to understanding the representations of women in global cinema. Here are some objectives: to analyze how of Joan of Arc 2019 and Mulan 2020 portrays female heroes navigating societal and cultural constraints during wartime, to investigate how feminist heroes theories, including intersectionality and third wave feminism, provide insights into the narratives of the two films, to identify the cultural, historical, and cinematic strategies used to highlight themes of gender, power, and agency. This is some research questions of my research proposals. First, how do Joan of Arc and Mulan reflect feminist ideologies through their protagonists? Second, in what ways do the cultural and historical context of each film shape their feminist narratives? And last, how do the narrative structures and visual elements of the films contribute to the portrayal of female empowerment? Here are some literature reviews. Representations of women in film. Scholars such as Laura Mulvey in 1975 have emphasized the male gaze in cinema, which positions women as passive objects of visual pleasure. However, feminist film theory has evolved to include diverse perspectives such as bell hooks in 1992 concepts of the oppositional gaze, which empowers viewers to critique and reinterpret dominant narratives. Recent work, according Smith in 2019 and Brown in 2021 have explored the intersections of gender and cultural contexts, highlighting how global cinema portrays women in wartime challenge or reinforce patriarchal norms. Comparative literature and cross-cultural analysis. Comparative literature provides frameworks for analyzing texts across cultures and mediums. According to Damrosch in 2003, argues that comparative studies reveal universal themes while respecting cultural specificity. In this context, Joan of Arc and Mulan offer rich material of examining how feminist ideals are adapted to different historical and cultural settings. Feminist theory in film studies. Feminist theories such as Simone de Beauvoir in 1945 concept of the other and Judith Butler's in 1919 theory of performativity are central to understanding how gender is constructed and challenged in film. These theories will be juxtaposed with more contemporary approaches, such as intersectionality based on Crenshaw in 1989, to analyze how the films address issues of race, class, and gender. These are some theoretical framework. This research will apply a feminist theoretical framework drawing on the following key concepts. 1. The male gaze, according to Mulvey 1975, examines whether and how the films subvert traditional cinematic practice that objectify women. Number 2, performativity. According to Butler, 1990, analyze the protagonist's actions as performances that challenge or conform to gender norms. Number 3, intersectionality. According to Crenshaw, 1989, considers how the character's gender identities intersect with cultural, historical, and social factors. And the last, post-feminism. According to Gill, on 2007, evaluates whether the films reflect ethos by emphasizing individual empowerment over collective struggles. Now we move to the research methodology. First are gender and leaderships. Both Joan and Joan of Arc and Mulan portray their protagonists as leaders who defy traditional gender roles. Joan's spiritual convictions and military strategy challenge the patriarchal authority of the church and state, aligning with Butler's on the 1919 notions of more performativity. In contrast, Mulan's journey emphasized familial loyalty and national pride, reflecting intersectional dynamic of gender and culture. In Joan of Arc, Joan's unwavering faith in her roles as a military leader positions her as a figure of resistance against male-dominated structures. Her trial scenes emphasizing her rhetorical skills and moral clarity reflects to Simone de Beauvoir on 1949 notions the others, where Joan's agency contrasts with the societal expectations imposed on women. Meanwhile, Mulan's depict leaderships in root in a blend of individual determinations and communal values. Her determination to take her father's place in battles reflects post-feminist ideals ideals of empowerment while remaining the traditional values of filial piety. Textual analysis. Using feminist theoretical tools, the study will perform a close reading of key scenes to uncover the underlying ideologies. Secondary source. The analysis will incorporate insights from academic articles, books, and reviews to contextualize the findings within broader feminist and semitic discourse. These two characters, Joan of Arc, challenging about patriarchal authority. Bruno's The Mons Joan of Arc delves into the trials of Joan as a religious and national icon, with her unwavering conviction positioned against a male-dominated ecclesiastical and political establishments. The film amplifies Joan's resilience while underscoring the tensions between her divine calling and societal expectations of women during her time. The most minimalized directions and the use of non-professional actors emphasize Joan's vulnerability and humanity, according to Matson's on 2020. The feminist lens here aligns with Simone de Beauvoir in 1949, critics in the second sex which explores how patriarchal systems define and limit women's roles. Joan's stories resist these constraints by presenting a woman who defies social norms, aligning herself instead with divine will and moral autonomy. This portrayals critics historicals and institutional misogyny, suggesting parallels with contemporary struggles for women's autonomy, particularly in religious and political spheres. While Mulan, cultural traditions versus individual empowerment. Nikki Caro's on live adaptations Disney's Mulan reimagines the legendary Chinese warrior within a Disney framework, incorporating both feminist undertones and traditional Confucian values. The narratives emphasize Mulan's journey from familial duty to individual empowerment, while the original Ballad of Mulan prioritized filial piety and societal harmony. The 2020 adaptation accentuates her self-realizations and inner strength. The film reflects modern feminist discourses by portraying Mulan as a woman whose talents such as her ki and combat abilities challenge rigid gender roles. However, it also aligns with third-wave feminism by celebrating diversity and intersectionality, reflecting how identity intersects with culture. According to Crenshaw in 1989, unlike Joan of Arc, Mulan's heroism is not framed within a spiritual or moral struggle, but as a reclamation of her agency within her cultural context, highlighting the adaptability of feminist ideals across cultures. These contrast narrative techniques and cultural context, while Joan of Arc relies on stark realism and historical fidelity, Mulan employs fantastical elements and high-budget production to appeal to a global audience. This difference reflects the film's respective cultural priorities. John's characters in A Martyr, whose agency emerged in defiance of her oppressors, embodying a resistance to patriarchal power. In contrast, Mulan achieves her agency within the framework of loyalty and honor, highlighting a less confrontational but equally potent feminist narratives. These theoretical implications about feminist and intersectional approach. Both films engage feminist theory but from differing angles. The most Joan of Arc aligns with second wave feminism's critics' systematic patriarchy when and institutional control over female bodies and voices, according to Millet at 1970. Nikki Caro's Mulan reflects third-wave feminism by addressing identity, cultural diversity, and personal empowerment within a globalized context. Additionally, intersectionality provides a lens for analyzing Mulan's appearances where her struggles as a woman intersects with her cultural and familial obligations, according to Crenshaw's in 1989. In contrast, Joan of Arc narratives highlights the universality of women's resistance to patriarchal control, transcending specific on cultural boundaries. This modern Renaissance and social political commentary. This relevance of these films extends to contemporary debates on gender equality and representations. Joan of Arc resonates with the ongoing challenges faced by women in religious and political institutions, such as the exclusion of women from certain leadership roles, as Matheson says on 2020. Mulan addresses the modern tensions between globalizations and cultural preservations, demonstrating how feminist ideals can adapt to varying socio-political landscapes. Both narratives inspire contemporary audiences by showcasing the power of individual agency against societal constraints. These gender and leaderships, both of John of Mulan portrays the protagonists as leaders who defy traditional gender roles. John's political convictions and military strategy challenge the patriarchal authority of the church and state, aligning with Butler's in 1990 notions of performativity. In contrast, Mulan's journeys emphasize familial loyalty and national pride, reflecting intersectional dynamics of gender and culture. In Joan of Arc, Joan's unwavering faith and her roles as a military leader positions her as a figure of resistance against male-dominant structures. Her trial scenes emphasizing her patriarchal skills and moral clarity reflect Simone de Beauvoir on 1949 notions of the other, where John agencies contrast with the social expectations imposed on women. Meanwhile, Mulan's lead depict leaderships in root in a blend of individual determinations and communal values. Her take father place in battle reflects post-feminist ideals empowerment while remaining traditional values of female piety. Joan's faith-driven heroism resonates with existential feminist themes, highlighting her urgency in a male-dominated society. Meanwhile, Mulan's story incorporates post-feminist elements by portraying her empowerment as both individual and communal. The film's cultural settings influence these portrayals. Joan Martyr reflects Western narrative of sacrifice, while Mulan's trump underscores Eastern values of harmony and duty. While Joan of Arc utilized a minimalist approach to highlight Joan's internal struggles, Mulan employs vibrant visuals and action sequences to celebrate her journey. This difference underscores the cultural specificity of each narrative, with Joan of Arc accusing the resilience and Mulan emphasizing physical and emotional transformations. Joan of Arc incorporates minimalist aesthetic to depict Joan's divine visions, leaving her motivations open to interpretations. Mulan employs fantastical elements such as the phoenix, symbolizing rebirth and resilience. These symbolic uh, traces enhance the film's feminist undertones by emphasizing the protagonist's inner strength and moral clarity. While Joan of Arc has been criticized for its austere portrayals of Joan's life, some argue that this approach emphasized her humanity over her sainthood, according to Smith on 2020. Mulan faced backlash for its oversimplifications of Chinese culture, but was an attempt to balance traditions and modernity, according to Brown on 2021. While I have a temporary hypothesis, the research hypothesized that Joan of Arc and Mulan utilized feminist narratives to critique gender roles and explore the intersections of cultural and historical frameworks. While both films portrays female empowerment, their approaches differ significantly due to the cultural, historical, and ideological context in which their stories are situated. These differences illuminate how feminist theory adapts to varying social, political, and cultural conditions, thus contributing to the global discourse on gender equality and race representations. Expected contributions. This research is significant because it bridges feminist theoretical frameworks with cultural studies and film analysis. By comparing two iconic female figures from different cultural traditions, the study sheds light on the universal and culturally specific aspect of gender dynamics, providing a richer understanding of feminist discourses in contemporary cinema. And this research contributes to the discourse of feminist theory by demonstrating how contemporary films reinterpret historical and legendary female figures engaged with modern feminist ideals. It also provides a comparative understanding how feminist narratives are shaped by and respond to the cultural and socio-political context. And the last is there's reference that I put on the presentations. And I think that's all about my presentations today. Uh, Thank you very much for your attentions.